Hello, my name is Shallow. This game is Dagon. This is a free game on Steam. It's available for VR as well. Like most people, I don't have a VR headset, so I'll just be playing this as God intended on a screen. Dagon is a story by everyone's favorite racist, H.P. Lovecraft. We're going to ignore that part and just jump right into the spooky story stuff. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Telling you right off the bat, this is a walking simulator. Don't give us bad reviews because you can't shoot the unimaginable horrors. Fair enough.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Alright, that's pretty cool, jumping straight from the menu directly into the story. I've seen that done twice recently. Scorn did it as well, and that was really cool. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey, others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Oh. Okay. Bit of breaking the fourth wall there. I thought this was going to be like an immersive thing. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. So I guess, how does that work in VR? Do you just put your face up closer? Things or what? Someone been just eating canned tuna and drinking, I don't know, laudanum? What were people into back then? How do I... Oh, there we go. As to letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly as easily. This is just a letter. These are just letters from H.P. Lovecraft. Okay. Well, this is a Lovecraft history lesson. That's... Sure. Lovecraft would often skip meals to afford postage. Lovecraft married like a wealthy woman. He probably skipped meals because he was a weirdo. He wasn't a struggling artist. You can rediscover trivia. Okay. Let's just turn that off. I don't need trivia. I'm here for the immersive story. I installed and launched this because I thought an immersive Lovecraft, essentially a book on tape, audiobook, I guess, is what we're calling them these days, but they're not on tapes anymore. God damn, I'm old. I was interested in an immersive storytelling experience, and you're pausing me every 30 seconds for menus and trivia. Come on. You're losing me, Dagon.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Because they were out of cake. They didn't expect it to be so popular.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
This is really it, huh? We're just going from place to place, having the story read to us. Alright. Starting to see why this was free.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Problem is, this game does have paid DLC in the form of additional stories. I don't know. So far, I wouldn't pay for this.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
You know, walking simulator sometimes gets a bad rap. Personally, I like them. This is not even that. This is clicking simulator is what this genre is.
When I finally found myself adrift and free.
Oh good, I'm getting achievements. Fantastic.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
My God. They said there would be stuff that was hidden. There would be secrets. I have so far found one. These are not large screens to navigate. So even if you're into this for, like, collecting hidden Lovecraft trivia, which, you know, if you are, Wikipedia is also free and doesn't take up hard drive space.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I hate to complain about graphics, but, like, that's the one thing that could save this game. Is if, like, it was gorgeous to look at, and it's just kind of okay. It's not bad. I wouldn't count it against it if there was anything else going on. I'm just trying to imagine what this is like in VR, and it can't possibly be that impressive, right? Oh, there's an elder sign. What does... Oh, I just click on it, okay. No achievement for that one, huh? Sure.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept.
Oh no. Ocean puberty.
Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
See, like, this is cool. It'd be neat if I wasn't, like, constrained to only this narrow view. If I could move around at all. If I could come upon this by my own actions rather than just clicking through a slideshow.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
I hate it when I wake up to discover myself half-sucked.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
Is that the same boat? It looks like a bigger boat. Or maybe... Is the perspective just fucked? I don't know what's going on.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Part of the risk of adapting Lovecraft's writing and other similar authors, he's not the only one who did this, into a visual medium, is you run into the problem of, you know, the text on screen says less describable things. But I'm looking at an octopus. You know, it's not that complicated. What is that? It's like a starfish. What I'm saying is you could do more. You can see the floor texture tiling off into the distance. Like even with with your vision sort of locked into the tiny part of the map that they actually detailed, you can still see it coming apart at the seams. Okay.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
Again, the words you can use are octopus. That's all it is.
There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
Why would you forcibly turn me away from the 8 props you put on this barren landscape and face me toward just a blank horizon with one stock octopus model clipping into the ground? And a trilobite of some kind. And a flounder.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
I will admit the skybox is neat. The bright sun at night. It's a poor choice to cue up this line in the story with turning the protagonist's view away from the sun. Alright, that one wasn't even hidden. That's what good pussy sounds like.
As I crawled into the stranded boat,
I'm sorry.
I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Oh, man. Oh, look at that.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
That's the same octopus model twice. Look, one of them is laying on its side, clipping into the ground, and the other one's upside down with its head in the ground. Oh man, I was joking. These totally are stock assets, aren't they? What have I done?
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Well, at least we won't go hungry. Go ahead, buddy. Chow down. Take a bite out of that flounder.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Oh my god, they didn't even, make new scenes or anything. They just... This has been 3 times the exact same scene, but with the camera positioned differently and the lighting changed.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
If I turn around and it's the same scene, oh my god. Oh, you've really restricted my view in this one. But I can tell. That's the same stock octopuses over there. And these wiggly boys up here. That's the same octopus model again.
On the 3rd morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
Look, oh, this squid model isn't even rigged properly. Look at the tentacles just sticking out like rods at the end. Look at that fish. Oh. I love walking simulators. I like them. So I feel like I'm predisposed to enjoy what other people might consider boring non-games. I wouldn't agree with that description of them, but I've heard it plenty before, and often enough that when I hear those criticisms, I think, hey, maybe that's a game I will like. Oh, and I'm sitting here thinking this is the most mindless non-game I've ever installed.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
I knew nothing, and the nothing I knew was making me insane.
All day I
Finally
forged
something
steadily
new.
westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Look at these, that thing's sitting there like it has absolutely zero weight. Just kind of sitting on 2 tiny points of contact with the mud that in the text is supposed to be sticky and like sinking into it. Nope, they just plopped that thing down until the lowest vertex on the model was in contact with the highest vertex of the floor plane and called it a day. Looks like a scaled up, like, spore creature. Good God, I've been recording for 20 minutes. I should just rip through the rest of this. This is taking far too long.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Now, say what you want about Lovecraft's writing. It's vague enough you can imagine people actually doing the things that they're saying. When you've laid it out visually like this, it's hard to believe a dude would hike himself to these giant grubs and be like, yeah, this is a good place to make camp. I feel like it's got to be more subtle.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
What's going on with the lighting there?
Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Like, this is great. This is a great scene. It's got that vibe of something's wrong, something's off, there's an otherworldly
I know not why my
thing going
dreams
on.
were so wild that night.
But it's not just straight up giant alien squids littering the landscape.
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
I had once again awoken half-sucked.
And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Yeah, no shit. Dude, this looks better than the shit you were walking by during the day.
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
I feel like they did this in reverse. It should have started out like this. You know, looking ominous but still earthly, and ending up with alien
I have
squids.
said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Okay.
I felt myself on the edge of the world.
I know you said the thing about the moon, but the character in the story is currently staring into the pit, and you've locked my vision so that I cannot stare into the pit.
Peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Again, how does this work in VR? If you have the goggles strapped on, can you look anywhere you want, or do they still limit your vision?
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
H.P. Lovecraft straight up just writing, pretend I'm writing a better book. It's basically like that. Knowing his wife edited or ghost wrote a lot of his work, I wonder if that was a jab at him that she put in. Pretend my husband's writing Paradise Lost. Cut him a check, please. He needs to pay rent.
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Alright, well, let's gradually declive.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
It's an Xbox.
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Is that anything over there? Is that just a weird lighting bug or something? Alright. Oh, you can see the floor textures tiling again.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Look at this. It's not even like tiling out into the distance. It's like, look. Come on. I know it's a free game, but the add-ons are not free, and I've played free games that are not this. The story is public domain, I'm fairly certain. So it's not like you had to pay for that.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
I'm trying to drive men mad, but my bulk is massive. The clap of my Stygian depths keeps alerting the guards.
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
I read an article about the sea once, and I'm basically a scientist now. That's every Lovecraft protagonist and also H.P. Lovecraft himself.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah, you forgot to model the crude sculptures because you just put a rock texture on a cube model. No elder sign hiding in this screen, huh? Could have, I guess, put one on the monolith.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
And I know everything, therefore. These are just like... These are not engravings. These are like photos of animals with a filter applied.
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Orangutans, breakfast cereals.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Again, I know about all marine life. And the fact that I don't recognize these means the entire modern world has never seen such horrors.
Whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Oh my god.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Oh, there we go. Not even hidden among the engravings, just sort of sitting there.
Across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Oh, what sort of men?
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Mermen.
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
Again, when you put it in a visual medium, I can plainly see that their faces are scribbles. When it's in writing, it's vague enough that, you know, the horror of not being able to speak of them sort of works. Doesn't work when you just show it to me.
For the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Again, pretend I'm writing a better book.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
You've, skipped past the part where their hands are... You didn't even draw hands, actually. Or feet. The full figures. It's in the text.
Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Again, that scenic background he wrote about, nowhere to be seen. I don't mean to nitpick, but if you're gonna say your game is a faithful and immersive adaptation, and it just straight up skips over stuff that is... just... never mind.
Remarked,
Let's get through this.
Their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born. Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
Can you imagine wandering and discovering some carvings, and your first thought is, I'm awestruck at something not even paleontologist. This is the greatest discovery. But, like, you don't know. We know because this is a Lovecraft story that what's been discovered here, but there's no reason for the protagonist to know. He's just assuming.
Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Hit me with the jump scare chord. Is it the ripples in the water?
With only a slight churning to mark its
It
rise
is.
to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Unfeeling and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
Your stock heavy breathing sound effect and stock splash sound effect drowned out the narration. He didn't really slip out of the water because I guess you couldn't find a slipping out of the water animation on the Unity store. So he did an MMO style summon instead.
About which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Gross.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
You're supposed to have gone mad at the sight of something incomprehensible, but it was just a big green dude.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
See, this is good. On the way back, this is definitely what should be happening. It's unexplainable, horrible stuff. Seeing all this horrible stuff on the way up kind of spoils the ending.
Recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Look at that Nautilus. Again, doesn't have rigged tentacles, so they're just sticking out straight.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
My God.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Holy shit, I just realized my computer fans are going insane right now. Oh my God. My PC is not liking this game. If there's a crypto miner or something in this, I would not be surprised. Oh, man. Oh, there better not be any sketchy shit in this download. This is not graphically intense enough to make my PC sweat, but it is.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Okay, door just
Once
opens
I
on its
sought out
own.
a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Is the weird torso statue necessary? Is that your pre-release bonus for or your pre-order bonus for getting Dead Island?
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Look at this stock book texture. And they went and just slapped Necronomicon on the spine of one of them. Oh, look, you can even see, if you look closely, it's still got the normal map for the other books. It's got the inscriptions and stuff. But they just sort of painted over it with the Necronomicon texture. Oh no. What? What do you mean hopelessly conventional? This man owns a copy of the Necronomicon. You wanted to put the Necronomicon reference in here, so you just slapped it in, even though it is entirely against what the text is saying at the time. What is this? This says nothing. Look, there's the bookshelf over there to the right. That's where I just came from. I just clicked over to the other side of the room for no reason? Oh. Oh, okay, to collect the the snippet of H.P. Lovecraft's Wikipedia article you copy-pasted into here. Great. Alright, let's leave now. Come on.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
That's crazy. Hey bro, have you tried THC?
So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information for the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Actually, now that I think about it, because a lot of Lovecraft stuff is in the format of people writing journals or letters after the fact of their horrible experience, a Lovecraft-style story told in the format of a Joe Rogan podcast guest would kind of be perfect. Just some crazy guest on his podcast talking about fish gods and stuff.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
Oh, look at that. I have no player model in the boat. It's just an empty boat.
Worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite.
That is a fish model that was not meant to be scaled up
I
that
dream
big.
of the day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind.
I'm not touching the mouse right now. Look. Why is the camera jittering? Look at the boat, like jumping around. Like I have my hands off entirely of my desk. Why is it jittering like that?
Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh no. Dagon takes New York. Or the 19 copies of one building that you put in my limited field of view to represent New York. Look, I can see just enough to the left and just enough to the right to notice you didn't. Good lord, that building over there is not in contact with the ground.
The end is near.
Oh god, I hope so.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
I had again awoken half-sucked, and someone was coming to finish the job.
It shall not find me.
Oh no, it found me.
God, that hand!
Oh no.
The window! The window!
To the walls, to the walls. We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you took a moment to rate Dagon. Check out again. Dagon is free. These other ones are not. That wasn't good. That's a bummer, because I like Dagon, the story. I'm not a huge Lovecraft fan or anything, but I do like horror stuff, and Dagon is one that I do find interesting or neat. I like it enough. And I like walking simulators. I was excited for this. Yeah, this ain't it. Look at this. This is high quality stuff, though. It had a cool trailer. It had some cool key art. It fooled me. I should have known when it said VR that it was going to be some asset flippy garbage. Oh, you keep track of my stuff in the DLCs too, huh? Railway Horror doesn't appear to have... Whoa! Okay, that opened up Steam overlay stuff. No. Oh, it took me straight to the store page to buy it. No. Yeah, so does that. Okay, so even if you are into, like, collecting stuff, if you buy Railway Horror, you don't get any additional stuff. That's cool. Bye. Oh no, look at the window texture. Look at the glass. It's repeated here too. This is the first image anyone sees of your game, and it's just some copy-pasted low-effort stuff. Come on. I don't like to be this negative, but